Hello everyone, today in this video we'll fight against the atmosphere of the world around us, as we always do on this channel. And today we will just talk about the explosion of love on the left side of the political spectrum, the love towards their opponents. We clearly saw that in the more or less mid-September this year, when Mr. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, shot to death, leftists manifested to the world their great love and respect towards their political opponents, and not only towards people who think differently than leftists tend to think. Of course, it's very ironic because it was not manifestation of genuine love, but it was manifestation of pure hatred and bad behavior that good standards and any traditions cannot accept. That is why we see that leftists are really dangerous sect that can be compared to a rebellion which was started by Martin Luther, so Protestantism, and later Calvinists and other Anabaptists fanatics that were burning down the churches, monasteries, and attacking their neighbors. And also later this can be compared to the madness of French and Bolshevik revolutions, because as I was saying in my previous video and writing in some of my book reviews and texts from the past, if one wants to be able to understand current leftist madness, one needs to study two things. First of all, French Revolution, but later, if one wants to go really into the depths of this madness, one needs to start Protestantism. So from Martin Luther, who was claiming about the equality of our people and other stuff, when peasant rebellion erupted in Germany, 1524, and peasants leaders were claiming that Mr. Martin Luther actually inspired them to do it and they support his claims. He of course distanced himself from this peasantry rebellion because it was comfortable to sit in Goslar under the protection of the wealthy and influential people who just adopted his newly created faith, later known as Lutheranism, so first version of Protestantism, to seize the possessions of their political opponents and possessions of the church on their territories. So we see how really hypocrite Martin Luther was, as any other revolutionary, because even after the Bolshevik Revolution, immediately in Soviet Union, we experienced the creation of so-called red bourgeoisie, so communist party elite that was living much better living standard than any other representatives of the society they were officially ruling. But it was done, of course, in the name of social justice and equality. We know it. So recently, famous also lady scientist, I wouldn't call her scientist, she studied chimpanzees behaviors, Jane Goodall, really freaky woman, also personalizing animals she was studying. In my opinion, it was not very scientific approach. She claimed leftist bullshit before she died. In her last message, she openly said that all people she doesn't agree with should be sent out from the planet to the moon. What a great manifestation of the leftist love. Somehow I'm not surprised. And the same this really awful behavior of many leftists, activists of different level after the assassination of Mr. Charlie. And so we see that leftists are nothing more than continuation of all of these previous revolutions of fanatics who want to change the world by making new human and by destroying this what we have. Of course, making new human is impossible because we are who we are and our plasticity and adaptation skills are high, but we cannot adapt to the leftist idiocy and ideological deformations because it's really anti-humane. We need to have things that belong to us. We need to have hierarchy and we need to have rules to follow. Otherwise, there is no society that can work. I'm even not talking about the efficiency. I'm talking about just being basically functional. Without these rules and without principles, we cannot function. And leftists do not want to understand it. This is the reason why they are really dangerous people, because they never accept the reality and they always want to change the world and create new human and allegedly liberate human for all limitations. These are the features of old left, all types, and this especially initial stage of Protestant revolution, but clear left that cannot adapt to the reality, we observe for the first time from the times of French Revolution. That is why the mother of current madhouse in political sense is French Revolution, and the mother of modern madhouse in spiritual sense is the Protestant Revolution. If we want to understand what's happening currently, we need to study these two historical events that are very important to know and useful to understand our world we live in, and we have to do everything to really make all this leftist madness withdrawn from political life. All the best, have a nice day, bye.